Well, POKEVENTURE has undergone a lot of changes and a lot of updates. Well, with the ancient gods of the meta basically declining, as well as other fun little challenges added to the POKEVENTURE, like gyms and, well, shiny raids. But we'll get to that when we get to that, and let's just cue the intro, okay?
NANI?!
So, well, in the past 2 months, a lot happened, and let's start with shiny raids. There were a lot of them.
Yep, okay. Okay, now I'll just do the recap on what happened here, since there's quite a lot of shiny raids that happened over previous times. The first shiny raid was basically a Decidueye, nothing special, but I missed it just because I was too focused on something else. I'm just not gonna explain what happened there. The next one was a Rotom raid, which I also missed, and I was so mad that I just bought one shiny Rotom off the market just for craps and giggles. There was a Snorlax, a Jolteon, etc, etc. But I think two of the most important, three actually, of the most important ones were a shiny Xurkitree, a shiny Steelix, and a shiny Arcanine that we got just now.
Strange, isn't it? And also, do you remember that one time that a Swampert raid, the shiny Swampert raid happened and crashed the whole game?
Yeah, that actually did happen, I'm not gonna lie. So the thing is, because like so many people were playing on there, it managed to crash the freaking game. This was case basically before some patches were introduced, which caused basically some major reworks to like the battle system in POKEVENTURE. PvP is still the same, but raids and wild battles function completely different.
We'll talk about that in the next section. So yeah, here we go.
The Xurkitree, well, first of all, was quite rare, and we were honestly surprised. Definitely surprised. I actually think I got, well, one shiny Xurkitree, which, well, is nice. And then, well, there are other stuff that we should talk about. The second one is the shiny Steelix. But that time, well, we've kind of figured out a tech that allowed us to mass produce the Steelixes that were shiny. It involves lag spikes, basically. And Ryan managed to get so many of them, and one of them was a UR, and it had a good ability. So Ryan just took that opportunity and basically destroyed every single Mega Steelix in existence, just to get that UR shiny Mega Steelix.
Yes,
not gonna lie, I'm jealous.
Lol. Sorry.
That's okay, it's okay.
And then the third one is Arcanine, which just happened and it died in 3 minutes. I wonder who killed it.
I wonder who.
Speaking of raid changes, well, a lot of old Pokemon have fallen and new ones have risen in their place. Scorch, Ferrothorn, Articuno Galarian, Volcarona, Chandelure, all of those were nerfed significantly by the new updates.
Well, okay, to be specific on which things got nerfed, well, we're talking about stat boosts, and lifesteal. We'll get to lifesteal when we get to lifesteal, but let's just say, stats got nerfed into the ground. So first of all, there were a lot of very common fire, grass, and water raids, and those are the most susceptible to, well, stat boosted mons sweeping. Which isn't a good thing, maybe? I don't know. This is my hot take, but, well, raids ended significantly faster in grass and fire and water raids compared to the rest. So then, the devs basically nerfed the stat boost so that they basically have unaware on every single mon. Raid mon, for that matter.
For me to elaborate, on fire, water, and grass raids, your stat changes do not matter anymore actually, which kinda sucks, which means stat boosting is completely useless. And on other raids, all stat changes are max stack 3, which means you can only get up 3 calm minds or 3 sword
stances.
1.5 sword stances. So yeah, it's really depressing.
Okay, so onto the specific mons, there's Centiscorch, Articuno Galarian, Volcarona, Chandelure, and Xurkitree that got neutered hard. Okay, maybe it's not Xurkitree since it's kind of a niche mon regardless, but against Skarmory raids, this thing used to be an absolute monster. I actually managed to get consistent like 20 to 30k runs with a single Xurkitree at +6. It was actually brutal. And then, well, Volcarona and Chandelure absolutely neutered most ground raids, most grass raids, until Centiscorch came along and then put them to shame. Articuno Galarian hasn't really been a good, say, sweeper mon, but one time we saw it do with 10k to Snorlax, and he was like, hey, that counts. Okay, with that moves aside, let's move on to the other big nerf of POKEVENTURE, Lifesteal.
The other raid buff that there was, of course, the Lifesteal nerf, which nerfed the power of moves and the draining of the moves such as Oblivion Wing, Giga Drain, and most importantly, Leech Seed, which for some time put Ferrothorn completely out of commission. Yveltal also suffered from this quite a lot, as it has to resort to other kinds of recovery to sustain itself, but then, yeah, the Lifesteal nerf sucked.
Oh, well, in terms of that, there's definitely still other options that make Yveltal viable, but Ferrothorn definitely isn't. And one other thing about Lifesteal is that it also puts Centiscorch in an even worse spot than it was before. Well, except that, well, stat drops exist. They still exist in raids, and we actually did manage to exploit this gimmick, and, well, stuff happened, to say the least. Okay, everybody knows that Mega Raids in POKEVENTURE exist. They don't yield money, they don't basically count your damage. Actually, they do, but like, the most important thing is, you get stones from them, and you get to Mega the selected mon. Well, with this gimmick, led us on a hunt for a lot, and I mean a lot, of high rarity Megas and or Primals, since Primals are counted in that category.
Indeed, we both right now have a UR modest fish that we really want to Primal. And well, I still have a long list to go through, including Valstrax, the SR Mega Rayquaza, Hercules, the UR Adamant Groudon, and many more that I'm hunting but won't mention. I still remember that one time that we first hunted for Airbuster, the UR Timid Mega Pidgeot.
Well, I mean, you eventually completed the quest while I set up for an R-Timid one. And, well, how do I say this? With the existence of, well, better raid mons, after just finishing the quest for the LR, well, or UR Megas, we just dumped them on the streets, basically. It's kind of depressing.
Depressing indeed, and I do want to grind it sometime soon, but not now.
Oh, and a message to Powerball. Good luck megaing that you are Jolly Rayquaza. We'll be looking forward to it.
Indeed, my Ditto will feast on it.
Stop with the Ditto jokes. It's not even funny at this point. On the topic of, well, megas that I actually legitimately pursued, well, aside from like the legendary fish, there was, well, two other mons that I'd like to talk about, namely being a Mega Altaria and a Mega Salamence. Well, let's start with the simple thing, Mega Altaria. Like, the reason I really wanted to pursue it was because of the secret power, Earthquake, Dragon Dance Roost Shred that I found, that I used in Showdown, and just as an homage to that, and the fact that I got an Impish Swablu, I decided to go on a quest for Mega Altaria. Oh, and extra note, the first Mega Altaria raid I participated in was a shiny one. And you don't get a shiny Mega Altaria for your trouble, which is depressing. The second one I got was Mega Salamence, aka Bread. Well, funny name aside, that's totally pointless. The reason I did it was simply because I wanted a budget Mega Rayquaza, and I felt like Return Bread is actually quite good in PvP. Unfortunately, well, I haven't used it in PvP, but what I have used it in is gyms. Well, we'll get to that when we get to that, okay?
On April Fool's, well, a very unexpected surprise came to us. An event. Well, it was, of course, unexpected. And, well, what was introduced were cards in POKEVENTURE. Odd, isn't it? Well, what they do is, well, you just open boosters repeatedly using 100 Pokédollars, and you get cards. Kinda dumb, isn't it? But then the cards rates were absurd. Well, everyone got like some sort of good card, like some sort of good pool in like 3 packs or something. And Jesus, those pulls were insane. I remember getting the full Ascended Weather Trio, and I still remember that one time I reunited with my TCG double, and another time where I got a shiny Ditto VMAX. And after that, I did get a shiny Ditto V. Yay!
Ryan, I should probably mention you wasted a lot of coins and a lot of your time doing that. But hey, as they say, if it's stupid, but it's important in your eyes, then it probably isn't stupid. Anyways, I actually managed to get like 2 EXs and 1 GX in a single pull. I managed to get a Volcarona GX, I think. And I also, that time, also inspired me to probably check for some more other good cards that a TCG had to provide. And what can I say except, well, Necrozma V in Sword and Shield, Special Laser, 240 BP once you literally slap on a special energy. It's kinda broken, but this isn't a TCG channel at all, you would know. But the thing is, Ryan is extremely attached to that double V card because he managed to use it to reverse clean one game, which I myself watched, and when we both were equally impressed by it. Oh.
Yes,
yeah.
And yeah, the Relentless Flame deck, well, I didn't get the Charizard, which was kinda depressing, but oh well, you can't complain when you got the double.
Yes, and the last thing is, okay, so basically we've got a lot of cards in our hands, we've done so many stupid stuff, we've caught on the cards, and what's the purpose of it, you might ask? Well, there was a reward, quote unquote, for, well, getting as many cards as you could, and the person who got the most amount of cards, or like the top 10, would get, well, Ryan, how about you do the honors?
Drumroll please. A level 1 LR shiny Bidoof with splash, 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 and
Well,
splash.
what do you expect?
Go
It's
figure.
April Fools! Get your mind out of the gutter! Okay, on the topic of PvP, yes, it exists, first of all. And secondly, Ryan's gotten really into it. So let's just let him talk about all his crowning achievements, quote unquote. And well, yeah, just let him introduce y'all to PvP and POKEVENTURE.
So, PvP in POKEVENTURE is weird, because there are no EVs, which means no stat hyper training, and well, kill ranges are very weird in this game. No longer can your +2 Bisharp OHKO a Garchomp with Sucker Punch. Just kinda depressing, not gonna lie. And well, Scarf Garchomp is the absolute meta in PvP Venture, for sure. Garchomp is a pretty common Pokemon in general, and well, because of how good it is, people just spam it like idiots. Well, not saying that Pokemon weak to Garchomp, such as Toxapex, are completely obsolete, But Garchomp is a very, very big meta threat that you need to consider of. I grinded up a level 100 grassy terrain element Rillaboom just to counter it and to weaken its earthquakes, I suppose. And well, in the first Poor Gang tourney that I did, I actually won the whole thing with Mega Rayquaza stall. Go figure. Well, not completely stall. I also had my own Garchomp, my Mega Rayquaza, a Hatterene that I used to check opposing Mega Rayquaza, and a Ferrothorn. The sad thing about that tourney is no items, but yeah, I won the whole thing, so I digress. I'm grinding a lot of PvE mons, such as a Mega Gallade. I grinded up several other mons, such as Malamar. I grinded up a Toxapex and a Dragonite today. And well, PvP Venture is pretty interesting if you considering you get to try different types of team styles, and when you actually win battles, it really feels worth it because you spent all that time grinding and candying that Pokemon up. So I guess try it. PvP Venture is fun, and 3v3 battles without EVs might be odd for some Showdown players, but go figure. Go try it and see if you like it.
Extra note, Ryan just grinded 3 mons up to level 100 today. I think it's free, I don't know, well, we'll talk about it later. And yet, well, some of them are stall mons, and yet Ryan doesn't try to use stall and showdown because he's a quote-unquote hyper offense player. Ryan, you need to get your mind out of the gutter and start trying more styles of Fastling, you see? So, well, sometime before the newest update, POKEVENTURE introduced, well, let's just say, buildyourmod.exe. In short, it gave you nature mints. Since IVs are here but EVs aren't, well, you'll take what you can get the rarity gems, get the nature mints, and then get to work. And oh god, rarity gems are one thing, but nature mints are another.
Mints can range from, well, being extremely lucky and getting your preferred nature in a few mints, or being extremely excruciating. Because how nature mints work is that after you use a mint, you have to buy another one to re-roll the nature. So you can go buy a stash of 20 only to get the worst natures possible and mold over it like... Ugh, I cannot say enough times where this has happened to me. And you too, Ethanol, I believe so as well.
Yeah, well, I think one of our best cases is probably my Galarian Zapdos. I named it Airbuster, it was originally N at the start, and well, it wasn't a good nature, I'll say that. Plus defense minus speed is not a good nature for Zapdos at all. Not even if it's Zapdos Cantonian, can confirm. Anyways, back on track. I had to mint 16 times for Airbuster to work and get an Adamant nature, not even a jolly one, which is kind of depressing, honestly. But that's not even the worst part. You see, well, Ryan says you have to use like 20 mints, but the truth is, you need to use, well, it's 1 times something. There's that one N equation that's something, but like, basically, if you want to reroll it twice, you have to buy 1 plus 2 mints. It's basically 1 plus X. It's honestly that annoying, and I just don't like it, honestly. But basically, it's really horrendous getting to mint to your mon for 10 times straight, wasting literally millions of money in POKEVENTURE just to get the right nature. And sometimes it doesn't even pay off. I can say that with confidence because I rerolled my Rayquaza 10 times and got a mild nature out of all of the mints. It's horrendously hard to get a good nature, but when it works, well, it works.
I mean, yeah, my S-Sort Galarian Moltres that I just brought fresh off the market got a timid nature the first mint, and guess what? My aura level 100 refused to listen to me, and now it's impish. So, let's talk about a more recent event, shall we? So, well, there has been a gym rework, and to commemorate this, POKEVENTURE has hosted, yes, another event. And well, this event was about Kufu. And well, it is a gym event, in which you have to defeat all the gyms to get certain quest rewards, and one of them was to defeat Ultra Nightmare, which was a league which you have to fight the Nightmare League, but with a single Pokemon, and it's your selected Pokemon, by the way, to get a Kufu, which was very interesting. The Kufu was randomized nature, and is R, and I believe 15 IVs in every stat. Well, me, Ethanol, and Sam all got Adamant Nature Kufus. From the start, no rerolls, and we were like, wait, does it have a higher chance for Adamant or something? And then, well, it turns out it was not. So we were just extremely lucky there.
Okay, on the topic of the amount of gyms you can fight, after the first Kufu quest, well, you get to start a challenge to beat every single gym region, not just in Standard League, but in every single Ultra Nightmare League. Well, the first one was a Kufu, and then the second quest rating every other, I think. No, it wasn't. It was just 3 Ultra Nightmare gyms. 3 Ultra Nightmare full leagues were, get this, 5 rarity gems. Yes, 5. That's 5 months worth of voting put into a single reward. It is honestly insane. And the Galera Center League quest is
Indeed
3 rarity gems. So in total, if you manage to beat 3 Ultra Nightmare League gems and, well, I think 8 Standard Gem Leagues, you'll be able to get 8 rarity gems in total. And, I used them all on some Mons. Some turned out great, one did not. No points for guessing which one.
Indeed. And, well, I did use my gems on a lot of different Pokemon, notably my Kufu, as it turned as my R. Well, I was not really satisfied with it, and then I threw some money into the gems. And well, I wasted 3 gems on it. The first one was N, the second one was N to N, and then the third one turned SR, so I was like, oh, okay, I'll take it. Unfortunate, but oh well, that's just 6 mil down the drain.
Yes. Ryan's wallet is a never-ending roller coaster that only goes down and never goes up.
Indeed.
On the topic of Gym Ultra Nightmare Leagues, well, since you could only use one Mon, I decided to stick with that concept, and I went to the Alola region. And I did something very stupid. It was basically using a single Mega Salamence with Dragon Dance and an Eternatus that I named Phazon, and a Mega Salamence was actually named Brett, by the way, just so you know. And we basically cleaned house with just those 2 Mons. Well, once per gym league. And, well, coincidentally, I dubbed this saga the Sentient, Murderous, Blood-Soaked Bread Yeets the Alola region before a wave of Phazon wipes said 4 islands clean off the surface of the planet. I have really high creativity, trust me.
So, for the last session of this POKEVENTURE video, let's talk about some of our future hopes for POKEVENTURE. Well, after playing this bot for about 3 months or so, I'd say the regular raids might be a bit bland, as like the annoying M's such as Manaphy, Metagross, Magearna, and Marshadow, which are raids that are pretty hard to beat and are pretty common in general. They are quite, well, annoying to fight, and we would really like to have an expanded raid pool. Sure, legendary raids are nice and all, but how about those regular old Pokemon, such as Porygon, or like Pokemon that are found in mystery spawns? A Magmortar raid, or maybe an Electivire raid. Those might be interesting raids that you can do.
Well, we actually did kind of try to talk about it in the official server at POKEVENTURE, but hey, we're just doing this just to, you know, hopefully just spread the message a bit farther. I don't know, maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. But another thing we'd hopefully like to see, not just like raids but also mega raids, since, you know, Kyurem White, Kyurem Black, Dinkoso Dust Main, etc., still aren't officially released yet. Well, Giratina Origin technically is released, but it's only the Sinnoh event, but whatever. Let's move on to the other one, which is hopefully EV Hyper Training. If a PokeVenture could actually manage to do the EV mechanic right in this game, I'm pretty sure the scene will get way more competitive. And, well, as two Showdown players ourselves, we'd be really happy if that day were ever to come.
Agreed. And another thing that we ranted about in the official server was about the Rotom raids. The Rotom raids were annoying raids as well, as they were quite hard to beat, considering their levitate abilities, which means ground type moves can't hit them, and them being on electric types, that was annoying. And, well, they had Thief, and one more thing that was extremely excruciating. They give almost no experience at all, which means you can't even grind on it. You have to try to do damage. So, we wanted this to change, as I didn't know why Rotoms only had, like, Rotom raids give so little experience. And it turns out that Rotom is actually in the unknown type of Pokemon. And so the experience pool is very depressing.
And, yeah.
So we would like that to change as well.
Okay, so that's basically, I think, all we really just want for PokeVenture. Maybe introduce a bit more items as well, but items are a lot of them, so I'm not gonna really elaborate on which one. Hopefully, maybe the stat boosting ones. But hey, we might be asking for a bit too much here. Anyways, well, that basically concludes the PokeVenture video. Might be delving a bit more into, well, podcasts instead of actually just normal PokeVenture gaming footage, since those footage is just us clicking on Discord for 3 hours straight. It's not really that interesting now that I think about it. But anyways, that's basically it. Hope you all enjoyed this video. Hopefully like and maybe subscribe. Why are we even using these marketing strategies anymore? Whatever. And stay tuned for the next video. It's going to be a theme team, we promise.